Well, what do you know? It's that time of year again, and the Battlebreaks has rolled out Anniversary with Cheese from last year, which I unfortunately didn't attend since I had forgotten about the game at that time. That, and also whatever this is. But now it's back, and this time, I'm able to properly review it after playing it firsthand. Is this chapter worth playing for? Well, let's find out. Since this is obviously a joke subchapter without any XP rewards, just only brick rewards, it can't really be taken that seriously. Almost all of the stages also have either very low enemy magnifications or have really high magnifications with enemies so threatening that passing them is a cakewalk, so on nearly every other stage context in the game, this should kill enjoyment from difficulty. However, here, the way this freedom is used proves to actually be pretty fun. And since this is a joke subchapter, there's, well, a lot of jokes. Some of them are clever, some of them are memes, some of them are just plain brain rot, but pretty much all of them work at the least well enough, and at the most, very enjoyable, to make up for the lack of XP rewards and difficulty. My favorite of these is definitely the American Fat Boy, and even more so his two-more counterpart, Patriot Warhead. Saying those names aloud just makes my brain do a backflip, by the way. Both of them are gimmick bosses, and they absolutely excel in those roles, in my opinion. Hear the words American Fat Boy? Well, here's a guy based on an enemy already in the game who screams a lot, throws bombs everywhere, and nukes the entire map if killed. And here's another guy, based on his counterpart, who sounds funny as hell, to be honest, who converts your allies. Yes, that's right, converts, and also nukes the entire map if killed. How cool are those premises? Especially the ally conversion, which isn't anywhere else in the game, to my knowledge. Final bosses, Cyborg Rocket Bailer and Cyborg Crocket, aren't as good in my opinion, but after thinking of them as knockoff extremes, they're pretty funny too. They're the only semi-threatening enemies in the entire chapter, since all the other bosses can be beaten with relative ease, just using level 15 units, but their stage is kinda harder than the last ones though. And while one might think these bootlegs would only have a fraction of its coolness, they fend quite well for themselves in the grand roster of bosses in the game. The former has some cool abilities, a perfectly serviceable design, and the nature of Anniversary with Cheese assaults your sight and hearing commonly so. And, can't believe I'm saying this, but the latter is probably one of my favorite bosses in the game. Why on earth, you may ask? Would I like I don't know, Blue Piss Extreme Bootleg? Well, it's for the stupidest reasons. Ignoring the one-note color palette, which happens to do fine in coinciding with the tumor theme of this chapter, he just really sounds cool. Yeah, that's mainly why I like him so much. Not only that, he happens to be perhaps the only enemy on both modes of the chapter, ignoring the two more present boss, to have a bizarrely threatening aura, which I feel is best shown in his high armor and his background music. Also the sirens when he reaches phase 2 and kills half of your entire army. That being said, yeah, he is really stupid. But come on, it's Anniversary with Cheese. There's never been another time to like stupid more, right? Now, to be the devil's advocate against that, well, the stupid does get pretty repetitive after 1-star normal, or 1-star 2 more if you played 2 more first for some reason. Luckily, because the stages take literal seconds to beat in some cases, this isn't really a big problem until maybe 2-star 2 more, with harder stages like Happy Birthday with Cheese and Base Priority, which, come to think of it, are the only stages with any challenge before the final. No, For the Kind and the Battler Avenges don't count. Just do Center and you win easy. Which is also a small balancing problem, considering that the American Dream is definitely easier than those stages which come before. In fact, base priority is basically the only stage in the chapter on both difficulties before Cyborg Rocket Battle to require strategy. I know so because it took me more than one attempt for both difficulties, more than I can say for virtually every other, except Boss Rush on 2 more though, which might be the only other one. Apparently this stage was supposed to be for a community pack, but was replaced by another since it would have been too annoying to deal with, which honestly I'm glad for. With its difficulty though, it did make me slightly fearful every time I completed a star. And because of that, I do have to say the chapter's balancing is a little off because of that minor discrepancy. However, notwithstanding, I really like the stage. In a chapter where the gameplay boils down to laughing or smirking at the brain-rot humor jokes, spamming a few battles and winning, this is the only genuinely clever stage acting as the exact opposite of the latter. Finding the right strategy for the stage without looking it up is, by all means, pretty fun. And even on later difficulties, testing around with new ones is pretty fun too. It might be because of how different it is from all the other stages in this chapter, but this is probably one of my favorite, technically, community stages in the game now. The mechanic of one enemy dying leading to consequence is very unique and not something I've personally seen before in this game. Even with this tonal change, it doesn't really degrade the sort of vibe the chapter gives with either, so I think it fits, and I think it works. I'd also like to point out a more personal complaint from me. Did this really need 20 stages? Yeah, I know, they're quick and easy to beat and all, but I'm not sure how much Golden Present or Enigma II contributed to its longevity. Were those extra 5 filler stages really worth it? Personally, I don't think so. It would have been very simple to leave out those stages without sacrificing anything in their process while keeping the tonal transitions between the stages clean. After all, there's only so much length the chapter can have without beginning to feel bloated after a period of time. But, all things considered, 20 stages isn't that big of an issue. Simply put, I would have just preferred if those extra 5 stages were removed to trim the bloat off from the package as a whole. So, enough talking. To answer the question in light of a stark lack of XP or unit rewards, is this chapter really worth playing? Yes. Yes, it is. Because, while you won't attract much incentive from it, besides extra bricks, which is always good, you will be able to unlock the exclusive bosses in the sandbox after 3 stars, plus literally every other enemy you haven't yet. That alone makes this chapter worth playing for. Even if you don't like the jokes, which trust me I can definitely see, just appreciate the facts above, and how Bucket went out of his way to do this for us in the first place. Not to mention going out of its way again to let new players, or if you're like me, ones that miss out on it, play it themselves. In conclusion, thank you Bucket, for once again bringing us an anniversary with cheese. To think I found all of this just through gameplay instead of YouTube videos, huh? First-hand experience is quite something. And I'm just doing a bit of a post-conclusion wrap-up here. Some more footnotes, I guess. Just gonna add some things like, well, for one, I just made this entire video narrated over actual footage with an actual microphone, only by my actual voice. So yeah, that's a channel first, besides that one time, of course. Oh, and another thing, this series is now called Koolaid Reviews, just without the, the. Why? Because it's cleaner. Feel free to agree, disagree, debate, or whatever you want to do in the comments below. And, as always, thanks for watching.